Oh man,
funny.
did you do hot ones?
I did a
haven't
while
done it.
ago.
How are you? Are you strong? Can you handle the hot stuff? No,
I didn't.
You can't.
I
You
didn't
can't.
understand why it was such a big deal. It's until I went to the bomb or whatever.
Oh wow.
It really.
You have a lot of tolerance.
I think they change them every season.
Oh.
And so I actually thought I was on a weak season.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
All right. I'm
You
terrified of
did
it.
an
Okay.
incredible job. Like, I've tasted the bomb before.
That's uncomfortable and
But
just
you
unpleasant.
just kept talking, didn't you?
Well, it's just so unpleasant.
Okay.
And that was kind of the vibe of the thing, was me just being like, this is not even nice. Like, this doesn't even
Not getting anything out of
At least
this.
it could taste good.
Welcome to the Faith Fight Podcast. Elizabeth Olsen and Carrie Coon. How are you?
Great.
We're really good.
We like being together.
Yeah, and talking about this movie that we're very proud of.
Yes, and you should be. This completely emotionally walloped me.
Oh.
So, incredible job. Congratulations, first and foremost.
you.
I know that this was a script written directly for you. And I'm just wondering, what is the difference between a script like that and just a regular script? And how does that manifest itself in your process and in your performance?
I don't know that it's different. I mean, it's certainly flattering to have someone say this is for you, but you're always reading a script hoping it's for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the roles that I've actually ended up getting in my life are the ones I could see most clearly were myself playing them. And so often when I'm reading a script, I'll say, oh, you know who you need to get, this person. And then I know it's not mine.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be the most authentic person to inhabit.
Have you
Does
done
make
that
sense?
before?
Oh, I do it all the time. My
do
agents are
too.
like, stop doing that.
No, but I do it to the person.
You're like, you got to look this up and
I'll be like, oh, you know who would actually really go?
Yeah, yes,
are
me
these
too. I'm like, you know
people?
who you need. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So you're always doing. So don't think it changes it, but the pleasure is when something is A, written for you, and B, is actually so well written.
And I think the thing that was really special about this opportunity with Ozza is that you try and create as much of a community within whatever, industry or job you have. And for that community, Carrie and I separately, without knowing each other, both had our own relationships with Ozza. And I was the only of the three of us who had gotten to work with him directly, because obviously Tracy worked with him, but you hadn't.
Yeah.
And so I feel grateful that there was a community that you are building of like-minded people, and that hopefully this continues in a way that you're setting up, like as we keep going, if we choose to keep going, that we continue to work with collaborators over and over again if it's like-minded. And so I think that was a big joy of someone writing something for you in that way.
To that point, you play a deadhead in this
Yes.
film. Is that an actual thing for you that they brought into this film, or is that
No, very
specifically
far
for the
from me.
character?
The closest I got to understanding it was watching Buck Henry do a documentary on the Grateful Dead that was like for PBS or something. And I don't know, it was maybe the 90s. It was something I found on YouTube where he interviews dead.
I'm glad you found a way in, because like I said, I thought Christina was very elusive. I was glad I wasn't playing.
Yeah, no, that was my way in.
Yeah.
Amazing. Obviously, with this film, you're playing with a lot of heavy emotions. And I'm just curious, when you're on set, after a particularly heavy scene, how long do you like to stay in it before you bring levity back into the room?
I don't think I ever stay in
I
it
don't
very
either.
long.
I think you and I are similar in that
No,
way.
we just kind of...
You go in.
You go in, and then there's a part of you that's like a ghost leaves you, and you're like, what did we just do? What do we need to do better? If you don't get it would be helpful to have a note, but if there's no note, then what can I analyze and leave my body?
Yeah,
and
okay.
then come back to.
And
it.
I know actors who have to sit inside of things.
Yeah.
I get, and I understand. It's just not the way I work.
Yeah, me neither.
And I've never felt. I actually feel that what we're asked to do is incredibly healthy. I've always felt like actors are sort of more fully expressed than the average bear, because we get to like kiss people and break things and sit inside of heavy things before they actually happen in our lives. We get a lot of rehearsal for living, and I think it's really healthy.
Yeah. There's a line in the film that stood out to me about the arts not always getting death wrong, or not always getting death right, rather. And I'm just wondering, for you guys, what was the first film that you watched that the notion of death really resonated with you? Let's start with you.
I feel like there was a Shirley Temple movie when I was a little girl where she's like on a boat in a river. I think it was called Bluebird or something like that. And I believe there's a death involved, and I couldn't tell you what it was about or what it was, but I have these images and this feeling of being such a little girl and understanding that she was that there's something that she was mourning as a child, and I couldn't tell you what it is. I've tried to look it up before, actually, and I know it's not called Bluebird because I've tried to look it up before. Shirley Temple Bluebird, but there's a Shirley Temple film that I grew up with that was absolutely about death, and I have no idea what it was, but I remember how it made me feel.
I have mine's sort of adjacent to material because I was raised Catholic and I used to get up. I was an insomniac when I was little, or I didn't require much sleep when I was really little, and I had a bunch of siblings. So when they were all in bed, I would get up and come downstairs while my parents were watching Johnny Carson, and I'd be like, "So Jesus, he's coming back." I was like, "Do you know when he's coming back? And am I going to get married? Like, am I going to have kids? Or are we all done? Are we going to die?" So my association with my first thoughts about death is Johnny Carson.
Oh,
well, and Jesus.
For me, it's The Lion King. When Mufasa
yes,
dies,
of course. No,
still physically hurts.
I think my son is probably going through that right now because he watched it recently. Yeah, it's awful. You're right.
Yeah.
Atreyu, the horse dying in Neverending Story, that was a big one, I think, for the 80s kids.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That was a big, and then also Bambi's mom.
Bambi's mom, too.
Was,
Yeah, that's
was,
like,
that
you can
was,
watch that movie
was
too soon.
difficult and real. I watched everything too soon.
That's on brand.
Animated movies. Disney animated movies as well. Death to Parents.
There's a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
Finding
Lots of
Nemo is another one. It's
But
just
again,
like,
it just speaks to the idea that, like, everyone loses their parents in one way or another. And so that's what's so universal about a story like this. But it's not quite been told this way, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. There are elements of this movie that are quite play-like. And I know that both of you have experience on the stage. If there's any one scene from this film that you could perform on stage, which one would it be and why for you?
Well, I suppose a monologue lends itself to stage.
So
but,
funny, I was going to say the opening.
Yeah, kind of the opening. Yeah, because we have our two dueling monologues there.
It's also so clear of what the intention is. And I think also the stillness of it.
Yeah.
And the choice of who's entering and when
Yeah.
and where are they coming from. I think
that's
sets
good.
something up well.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
And true.
I agree. In prepping for this interview, I was reading reviews of this film. Very largely positive, as they should be. And I
disagreed with.
Yeah.
Well, here's something I did disagree with, because I saw, and I've seen this as well with Robert Downey Jr. and Oppenheimer, they will say that, you know, finally they get away from the MCU to like do real acting. And that, it tipped me off a little bit, because I was very moved by your performance in WandaVision. I was moved by Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU, which I'm a big fan of. For you, when you read stuff like that, does it irritate you to have your non-MCU work pitted against your MCU?
I don't think anyone's opinion of how they feel about me or my work could really irritate me that much. I think the most hurtful thing is for work to be ignored.
Yeah.
I had a teacher that said, "You'll either hate me or love me, but you won't forget me." And she was a Suzuki stage actress.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that's I think the most offensive thing someone could say is to ignore your work. So I don't know. I don't really have. I don't find it. I think people watch what they want to watch, right? So if I mean, for critics, it's different. They have assignments where they have to watch certain things that maybe is in their wheelhouse, or maybe it's not. So I can understand maybe someone's perspective from that place. I don't know. Who am I to say?
Well, I'm going to talk to those people and say you're nonsense. Final question for you. I know that as actors, a lot of the work you do, especially when you're prepping, is who are these characters before we meet them on screen. Do you ever do a flash forward? Do you ever sort of think about where your characters are months, years from now? And in this case, what do you think are the relationships between the sisters sort of far away in the future? Do you know? Have you thought about it?
I didn't think about it while we were doing it, but somebody asked me this very early in like an early screening time, and I remember thinking, like, I hope Katie's made a little space for her sisters. I feel like Christina, had another baby maybe, and like has tried to keep us together. And then I just imagine that Natasha's character, the most clear is that Rachel is just that old lady smoking on the bench. Like she's just a New York character. And that's what I love that Ozza wrote sort of like a proper New York character that we see all the time in New York. And it's kind of the only one that mattered in that way.
I don't really the first film I did, I was doing press for Martha Marcy May Marlene. I was doing press with Sean Durkin, and people kept asking him, "What do you think happens at the end of after the end?" And he said, "I believe movies start and end in the framing of a story that they're meant to." And I think to me, I kind of took that as my own little lesson of, it doesn't matter, because what matters is this structure of this start mark and this end mark. And only recently, I would say, I started to fill in the things that maybe don't matter or aren't on camera about even this before that. I think even the schooling I went to, it was like, that's all bullshit or whatever. Just like show up and do what's asked of you on the page and do that well. And kind of recently, I think because of working with so much source material, I started to miss having something to start from.
Yeah, interesting.
And so inventing it actually became a way to connect or to create and build from. And so that's only been a recent thing to me, but the future thing I never think about. And maybe I will one day, because only that was recently introduced.
You never know.
Well, the work speaks for itself, and the work is
Thank you.
spectacular. So
Thank you.
Elizabeth, Carrie, thank you so much for your time. It's been a
Thank you
pleasure.
for your
Thank
time.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks. Thank you for such lovely interview.
Yeah.